Welcome to the Teaching Kitchen at Kitchen Sink. I'm Jenna Taylor. I'm a food services manager here on your Google Food team in Mountain View. Very excited to be your hostess today. So today we're very lucky to have Chef Nathan Lyon with us. Chef Lyon is the Emmy-nominated chef and co-host of Growing a Greener World and host of Good Food America with Nathan Lyon. You also might recognize him, as I did, from Food Network Star. Yeah? Final Four.
It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago, but I recall it. You're also a sustainable seafood ambassador with the aquarium and author of Great Food Starts Fresh, which a lot of us are paging through right now. So I'm going to leave it at that and step out of the shot. But welcome, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thanks, guys. Exciting. So, thank you, Jenna. Huge round of applause for this young lady, Victoria, because I wouldn't be here otherwise. My girlfriend and executive sous chef is out there with chef. Her name is Sarah Foreman. And also, when you go to, in the cookbook, numerous places it'll say for additional information, go to chefnathanlyon.com. I have a bunch of cards right here. It takes you to the same place. Sarah and I started doing drought-friendly recipes also that got picked up by NPR. The French version of CNN came to our humble abode and kind of watched us cook. Our voices will be dubbed in French, so I can't wait to actually see it and be like, what's my French voice going to be? I hope it's not squeaky and really high. Who knows? I don't know. So, and you can find those online also. So because you all have cookbooks, this book took me 6 years to finish. The reason why, because I'm a perfectionist, and I just keep going back, and I think I can do it a little bit better, but it's based on my 10 years of working at farmers markets. And the thing about working at farmers markets is you develop this amazing Rolodex of information that makes it so that your life is a lot simpler, okay? Going to culinary school and teaching people how to cook on TV also makes your life a lot simpler. So for example, when you know how to pick out a tomato or you know how to pick out a peach without smelling it or touching it, because that's what I used to sell for 10 years, that makes your job a lot easier. So you use a lot less mental energy. Like if you're typing something, return key is always here. You don't have to go, oh, there it is, return, right? So I'm going to show you a couple knife skills that'll be like a habit. It'll be a new habit. So you don't have to worry about cutting certain things because as you're cutting them, you're thinking about something else, okay? So we're sort of multitasking. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. I'm from Arlington, Virginia. I love attention. I had no idea that I would be a teacher. Like I love to teach, and this is what I do. I was an art major, meaning before I switched to a health science major. I was a medical technician. I did landscaping. I'm a chef, so I'm kind of all over the place. But this is what I love the most, and it's sort of like everything I've ever done in my whole life has come to fruition here, okay? So does anyone not have a blender at home? You don't have a blender. Okay, so whoever lives next to her, we need to make sure that she comes to your house to make this first recipe. If your birthday is coming up, and then we can all pitch in $5, right? And we can get you an immersion wand. Those are really great things to have. So if you don't have a blender, you can get an immersion wand, which is it's like this, but it's got like the blender thing on this end, and you that whole thing, right? So you can make this first recipe with one of those. Whatever sound effects, that's mine. You can come up with your own sound effect. But this is a spicy watermelon gazpacho, okay? This first recipe is an homage to all the things that summer has to offer. So when I was in school, I realized that when you eat in season, it's better for you physiologically. So these types of fruits, these are all fruits, these are all very cooling to the body, okay? So if it's 100 degrees outside, and I said, so today I'm making a roast Tahitian squash risotto with like cream and butter, and you're like, bleh, right? Because it's just so hot. You don't want those things. Luckily for us, they're not in season, right? So everything you should be eating is in front of you when you should be eating it. It has the most flavor, it costs the least, it has the most nutrition. Okay, and that's why I did this cookbook. So first things first, does anyone not like watermelon? I love watermelon. I mean, again, from Virginia, we used to go out, my buddy Jason Hicks and I used to go out to the watermelon fields and actually go out, and it was 25 cents a watermelon. So we used to go out there with a knife and a spoon and just be like, eat the heart, 25 cents. Eat the heart, 25 cents. Isn't that cool? Well, we were stuffed and peeing ourselves, but at the end of the day, it was absolutely delicious. Okay? So this first recipe, because it is so warm outside, I thought I'd do this one first because it is very cooling. I know the chef has made it absolutely delicious. And you can make it ahead of time and then put the entire blender in the fridge, right, to cool down. And then when your guests come over on a hot summer day like this, you just pour it out, and they're just so stoked. And if it's a weekend, you throw in vodka if you want. They'd be like crazy stoked. Just grab yourself a Google bicycle and bike one home. Okay, so don't go crazy. Thank you for picking that up. That's very sweet of you to do that. So here's the watermelon. You guys are so funny. And what I said before everyone came in, don't hesitate to ask any questions, okay? Picking out a watermelon. Does anyone know how to pick out a watermelon? That's a great question. Great question, Nathan. That's a fantastic question. You thump on it. Okay, you'll thump on it. And it needs to sound very resonant and hollow, like a deep hollow. If it's tinny, like ding, 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 it's underripe. If it's like boom, like a wet shoebox, it's overripe, okay? So that's, I mean, and plus it's just fantastic. Do you have one of these, vegetable peeler? Doesn't have to be this one, it can be this one. I'm so gonna tease you, I'm so sorry. I just feel bad that the second tier, when the third tier happened, it's just gonna be bad. So if you don't have one of these, you'll have like the old, like metal grandma style one, which I have at home. Is this a left or right-handed peeler? Great question. Peelers are all for ambidextrous. It doesn't matter. It's left and right. So if you're a right-handed person like I am, and you're always peeling away, that means that side's duller than the part coming towards you. Does that make sense? So if I have a peeler, and when you're in restaurant work and you figure out how to peel like this, like this was a carrot, right? So that's done. So you don't always have to be like one, and then turn, and two, and then turn, because both sides peel exactly the same. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is because when you have friends coming over and you're like, oh my God, I have to make a salad, or whatever you're going to be making in 15 minutes, there are numerous items in that cookbook that you could bang out in 15, 20 minutes, okay? And that's just one of those time-saving things that you can use the peeler both ways. And I guarantee, as I'm gesturing with this thing, that when you go home and you use your peeler, you'll be like, I'll be done, and just peel both ways, away and towards you, okay? It's just as sharp, if not sharper, on the opposite side. Now, if you have a Japanese cucumber or a Persian cucumber, you don't necessarily have to peel it. But for this one, because you eat with your eyes first, I want to make sure it's red, if not kind of rosy pink, and the green peel will sort of make it a little bit more on the brown side. Right? That's the only reason why I'm peeling this. Otherwise, I would totally just eat this peel. Everything. Any questions, guys? And again, this first one, I'm just making it simple. If you have a blender, except for you, you just throw everything in a blender, and that's really the first recipe, okay? These are a little bit on the small side, meaning, which is what I like. If you get the big, massive tube sock, hothouse, massive ones, they don't have a lot of flavor, and plus they're very watery. If you get those and you have those at home, you can cut them in half and use the back of like this little spoon, and you just scoop out the seeds. It's just really watery. There's not a lot of flavor in that area, okay? I mean, if I wanted to, I could totally pull you up and say, like, make us all gazpacho, and you would totally be able to do this, okay? Any questions about anything? Now, let's do an onion, a red onion. Now, the thing about onions and cutting and just the way that you approach food itself, because my background is sort of like physiology, cadaver lab, that whole thing in college, I always watch people cook, and sometimes it looks uncomfortable when people cook. So if you're one of those people that after you're done cooking, you're like, geez, man, it's just like, that took it out of me, chances are the way you cook has something to do with that, okay? I have to make it so you can all see here. There's nothing up the sleeve, right? There's nothing up the sleeve. So with an onion, what I like to do is, because it's in the blender, you can quarter it, but I'm just going to chop this pretty fine so you can see how I'm going to be approaching this, all right? If I'm relaxed, this is relaxed to me. Do I look relaxed? Right? So my hands are actually not facing forward. They're facing in a little bit. I mean, I could all ask you to stand up and do the same thing, but just silly. We'll just pretend that we're all the human beings. So if I put this knife in my relaxed hand, it's actually facing inward, not this way, okay? So if I want to cut something straight, I'm not going to do this. I'm actually going to do this. I'm just going to do this. Like, you can all do this, right? So if I want to cut something straight, I'm going to turn this onion to the same angle as the knife would normally be if I'm just totally relaxed, okay? And people always do this because this is perpendicular and you know that's straight. So you're like, this is going to be totally straight. And you're just like, what are you doing? It's like Cirque du Soleil cooking, right? So if this was straight, I would just do that and it's completely straight. And I could literally do this all day. Where are you looking? Where are you looking? Where are you looking? Okay? And it's just, I know it's straight just because all I have to do is this, up and down, that's all, and let the knife do the work. So I'll throw some red onion in there. Next thing is tomato with the gazpacho. Now, tomatoes, you don't ever want to refrigerate a tomato. You just don't. They cry and scream a silent scream. You won't be able to sleep. It's horrible. Because it messes up the inside, like the integrity gets a little bit mealy. So you can put them on the counter, not in the direct sunlight, but when they're ripe, that's good to go. Or if you go to your farmer's market and there's a lot of tomatoes, you're like, oh, $1 a pound for heirlooms? That's great. You can just grab the whole flat. It's totally worth it. Get freezer zip bags, put them all in a freezer zip bag, and just put them in the freezer. Okay? The reason for that is because when you can a tomato, you're kind of boiling it. You're heating it, so you're canning it. So you're actually breaking down the flavor of that tomato by heating it for a long period of time. When you freeze it, it doesn't break down the flavor at all. And then come wintertime, you want to make yourself like a really delicious grilled cheese sandwich with a tomato soup. You just put it under cold running water, and then the frost just on the inside of the skin peels off like a sock. And you just throw the whole thing in your pot. Okay? It has a lot of flavor in there, so you don't have to actually do anything. You can neglect your produce and have amazing food. That sounds pretty good. I don't know if that's the Google way, but let me tell you, that could be the Lyon way. So that goes in. Does anybody have a knife that they really like that they use? Anybody have a knife they like? You're like, well, kind of. That's like saying, do you have a cat you like? You're like, well, kind of. I guess I kind of have a cat that I like. So a knife is the most important thing. It's just the most important thing that you have. Not more than loved ones, but it's the most important thing you have in your kitchen to keep it really sharp. I have a $250 knife that I never use because the handle's too small for my hand. So I kind of try to overcompensate because the handle's too small. This handle fits my hand, right? What size shoe do you have? It's totally personal, but what size shoe do you have? 5. I have a 12. So you're like, Nathan, those are some killer Asics. I want size 12 Asics. Not that great. So if our hands are the different sizes, you need to go try on knives like you try on shoes or clothes or whatever. Just because it's shiny and looks amazing doesn't mean it's a better knife, okay? This knife you can get on Amazon delivered for like 38 bucks. There's a photo of this very knife in the cookbook. So if you ever forget what the knife is, look in the cookbook, you all have one. You guys are just sponges. I love you. Okay, so onion. We have tomatoes. We have watermelon, mint. Mint is one of those things that's absolutely fabulous. If you like to garden but only have a little pot, mint is one of those things that's actually better to do in a pot, or else it just takes off. It's crazy. It's like bamboo. You can't stop it. And fresh mint or fresh herbs, any fresh herbs, are so much better. It's just like fresh herbs are like the really talented backup singers to a not very talented but very attractive front singer. You know, you're like, oh, she's great, but the backup singers make it amazing. Okay, that's what fresh herbs are for me. And cilantro. Does anyone not like cilantro? Is anyone one of those people? Okay, well, not liking it. It tastes very soapy to people. They just don't like that flavor. Fresh lemon. Always have fresh lemons on hand, okay? And I'm a big person that like to use my hands, so I don't like to have to get out the little strainer and then do that and then wash the strainer. Just wash your hands like an adult person and it'll be totally fine, okay? I'll see a lot of chefs put on gloves And then I'm just dying to go to their house and see if they put on gloves when they cook themselves dinner. And if they don't, then you're totally fine. You don't have to put on a glove, just wash your hands. Red bell pepper or orange or yellow, not green. There's a reason why you can get 5 green bell peppers for $1 and you can get 1 red bell pepper for $1. Okay? It tastes a lot better. It's just a sweeter product. Also, from a sort of medical standpoint, sometimes green bell peppers can have a little lower GI tract issues with people. All right? So as a chef, I want the most flavor possible. So I'm on a quest for flavor. And I know that red has a lot of flavor, right? That goes in. And then the gentleman had a question about extra virgin olive oil. And they do vary, they vary greatly. This is the olive oil that I like. There was a photo of this olive oil in my cookbook, okay? I've tried a lot of olive oils. And what my girlfriend and I have historically done, actually only once I think, is go to a grocery store and say, that costs $15. I'm not going to buy it unless I taste it. That's why farmers markets are so great. So really all of us could get on a Google bus. I know they exist now. And we can go to the store and say, all of us want to try that one olive oil. None of us are going to buy it without trying it. And we can totally do that. And you can do that. And they'll be like, yeah, that's a good idea. I've never tried that either. Okay? So olive oil, I like extra virgin olive oil because I like the flavor of it. But you also need to taste a lot of different extra virgin olive oils. So you can make an olive oil out of any olive, and some of them are not very palatable. I like this one because it has a green but fruity taste to it at the same time. And we can actually pass this around and have you guys take shots, hold you by your ankles, or whatever you want to do. I don't even know what works over here. But an olive oil is one of those things that will take care of lots of issues. So if something is too spicy, the olive oil, the fat will actually coat your palate and make it less spicy. Okay, it'll make it more thick. If it's too thin, you can emulsify it like this will be, and it thickens up really nicely. And plus, it just tastes amazing. Okay. Salt and pepper. Pepper, freshly ground. Okay. Does anyone like coffee? Coffee? Okay. Has anyone ever made coffee with 10-year-old coffee grounds? It's disgusting. Even the thought makes me want to puke, sort of. So fresh spices are the same thing. So if you get the grocery store fresh spices, tomatoes takes a lot of salt. If you get the grocery store fresh spices that are already ground, they could be years old. Just like if you got pre-ground coffee, it could be, you don't know how old it is necessarily, so you always get the whole bean, freshly roasted, grind it yourself. Same thing with black pepper or any sort of spices. It's totally, totally worth it. And the salt that I used in here is just regular kosher salt. $2.19 for the however many pounds or whatever it is. And that's it. Unless you talk incessantly by yourself in your own kitchen, you could certainly make this faster than what I'm making it here, okay? But that's just me. I talk a lot by myself. We'll start it out low, just to kind of see what happens. It's just like, I feel like I'm on an infomercial right now. And then you just keep pressing it and then whatever, and then you, Sheila, I need help. And then you just, like, we have one of these, but I like the immersion little wand guy. But this bad boy, if you have one of these, and you can make it super silky, like really smooth. It's happening! I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. And that's it. So I would normally put this in the fridge, let it chill out for a bit. Taste it. Tasting is also very important. If it needs more salt, decide whether or not you want to add a bit more acid. So acid will bring out the natural sodium in food. So if you have anybody in the family or yourself, you're watching how much sodium you intake. The last little bit, you're like, ooh, does it need more brightness or does it need more salt? If it needs salt, salt it. If it needs brightness, you can add a little more red wine vinegar or lemon juice. And that will actually bring up a little more sodium, okay? Hey, that's pretty good. Oh, that's not bad. That's not that bad. Let's do. This recipe actually works. Isn't that cool? A little more black pepper and a touch of salt. Don't be afraid of salt. Just do not be afraid of salt. It makes it so that you can actually taste things. I mean, it's just one of these things that if something's missing, you're like, what's missing? Chances are it's the salt. And what I want you to, it's mesmerizing, isn't it? What I want you to get in the habit of doing is when you're making soups, say this gazpacho or something, and you're not quite sure what it is that's missing, what I want you to do is take a little spoon like I did earlier, take the little spoon, and then just put a little bit of gazpacho on it, and then add just like a couple dots of salt. Once you add the salt to this giant thing, you're done. Maybe it needed acid. So my girlfriend Sarah and I have little tiny bowls on the side, so we're constantly feeding it from this big amount to a little bowl, and then we'll be like, oh, it was the blank that we needed, and then we'll add that, finish the whole dish, okay? So that's it. Even these Google plates are beautiful. If you put it in the fridge, any sort of bubbles will settle out. But this just seems to be good to go. And then to let people know what's in it, just a little bit of cilantro that you won't have to share with Mike or Victoria because they don't like it. Okay? A little bit of black pepper. And then this little flair is what gets everybody. This is what you can charge the extra $1.10 at your restaurants. It's just that little bit right there. Okay? So there you are. So you can feed lots and lots of people with like a watermelon and a couple vegetables that are in season and super full of flavor already. Okay? So that is the first recipe, everybody. So there you have it. Have at it. Thank you very much, Chef. Thanks, Chef. So quick. Got it? You guys are so quiet. Yo, yes. Where can you buy a... No, I'm totally kidding. Yes, question.
Can I have your blend? No, I'm just kidding.
Can you... Well, that's it. Do you have one of those little swipey things you can get in places? Because I don't. The question, I think, was, can I have your blender? Is that right?
Yeah, but the real question is, I like to get balsamic vinegar, but it always seems to go more sour. I don't know if that's my imagination or maybe I got the wrong vinegar. How do I keep it staying fresh and tasty?
Balsamic vinegar is one of those things that they're already aged. So if it's a good balsamic, I actually like all the Lucchini products. I don't get paid by them. I'm not pimping them, but I just happen to like it. I've tasted a lot of stuff that I like. I like their red wine, white wine, and their balsamic because it's aged, and then it's aged in oak barrels. So age actually gives it more character, which is lovely. If you're spending, not here, because I didn't spend anything on the cappuccino I just got, but if you're outside of Google land, right, and you have to pay for your coffee, and it's $3.50, but you're only spending $2.16 on a bottle this big of balsamic vinegar, that tells you something. Like everything that balsamic touches should make it vibrant and beautiful and delicious. It shouldn't make your face implode and be like, whoa, that is just crazy off balance. It should be balanced. So is that balsamic worth the money? I mean, I think the Lucchini balsamic is like $15, but it's going to last you months and months and months. Whereas, I don't know what $15 is for cappuccinos, but it's like, what, 4 mornings of cappuccinos? So you sort of had to say, it was 2 years aged, and it came from Modena, Italy, all the way across to New York, all the way across to California, and I'm only paying $15 for it, and it will make everything blossom into something delicious. So I guess that's sort of in a very long way an answer. So sometimes you have to spend a little bit more than nothing for the balsamic vinegar.
And do I keep it in the fridge or just like the oil?
Just don't heat it. You don't want to heat it up. Like we have vinegars and olive oils, and our stove is here, but it's sort of off to the side because sometimes the heat can radiate and cook things. Mostly it's things that are a bit more delicate like that. So I have 9 minutes and 43 seconds. We are going to bang out this second recipe, right? And it involves heat. And one of these cool things that I heard all of us get one of these stovetops at home, which is really exciting. I'm going to press this, and I'm going to press this. I think I'm doing this right. Hey, chef. And then you see this, if you take the square
Every
root
person
of
who
that
touches these stoves
and
has
multiply
the same
that by,
question.
oh, that's right. This, jeez, these are so cool. I don't know if you guys rent like one bedrooms here, but this is awesome. Like this kitchen's pretty awesome. You've seen my kitchen. You know what it looks like. Okay, so chef, can we grab some samples of the watermelon gazpacho to bring this down? Those are coming out now. Second thing, this is fall coming in, all right? So cauliflower is one of those things that it's not a super wow them thing, you know. You can roast them. You need a high heat for cauliflower because it's like 92% water. So you need a lot of high heat to bring some flavor out. So I'm putting this on 7, which isn't incinerate, but it's pretty darn hot, okay? And we're just gonna let that heat up. Does anybody have one of these food processors? We need to get a Google food processor for you so you can just have them. Food processors, actually, you know what? The immersion one or immersion blender, which is like 38 bucks, it comes with a mini version of one of these. So it'll take you 3 times. Just, you know, cut it in thirds and you could totally do that, okay? But they really come in handy. Really, really do. So I'm gonna peel these guys off. They come in lots of different colors, so you can make this in, you know, green and purple, all the different colors here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this out, cut out the stem, save it, because it's really delicious. You just peel it, like with your vegetable peeler, with your ambidextrous vegetable peelers that you have at home. And what I'm gonna do is just break it off into sort of like regular bite-sized pieces, okay? And put it in food processor. Or you could just work on your knife skills and just chop it like it owes you money. Just chop it. You could do that too. Or you just borrow his food processor, okay? So that goes on, and we're gonna pulse it. So it's like the size of a grain of rice. There we go. So I know some of these we're gonna have to pull out and have a snack. They just don't want to go, but I can't risk having it go liquid on me. So, oh, these are so crazy. And how do you get this one on?
To the left? Yeah.
Easy. Thank you very much. So, the pan should be hot enough to where it at least bubbles and or barely starts to smoke, okay? The reason for that is if the pan's too cool and you were to add the olive oil and then this, it would just steam. And then it would just be mushy. And then you could be like, oh, actually, instead of having this cauliflower couscous, we're going to have cauliflower whipped cauliflower puree, okay? Which wouldn't be such a bad thing. So I have that go in. And we're already getting a few bubbles, which is really nice, which is what we're going to see. Get that bad boy going. We'll put that in here. Any questions about your samples, guys?
It's delicious.
You guys are so funny. Can't wait to exchange Google numbers with you guys or whatever I have to do to be in the fold. Did you know you get free Joe chocolate over there? So cool. My goodness, it's just the best. Oh, man. And I met up with the chefs earlier for lunch. You guys have some really talented chefs. I mean, if you see a chef or someone even playing a chef on campus, I guess you would call it, just say, hey, great job. It is literally the hardest job I have ever had, is being a chef in a restaurant. So cauliflower goes in, salt. So I'm going to season it with salt from up here. I'm not going to just go right there, okay? So when you season it, you can see it's sort of falling like, actually it's the wind, so it's sort of falling on me. But you can see as it's falling evenly, like a pyramid, okay? So if you were to just hit that, whoever gets that bite might be a little bit like, just cut back on the salt, just a smidge. okay? So all I want to do is, either it's about to explode and we all should just run for it. While that's cooking, and I think it's still, yeah, it's still on. It's on 8. While that's cooking, we're going to add a few more things, okay? Not to that, but to this bowl. Shallot. You guys cook with shallots at all? Mm-hmm. Shallots are, I want to make sure you can see, shallots are one of those things you can actually eat raw, which is why chefs like to use shallots. You can use them in vinaigrettes. You wouldn't necessarily eat the red onion raw, but the shallot you totally could, okay? So we're going to make a vinaigrette, and when this comes out, we're going to, thank you very much. We're going to just make the vinaigrette, everything goes in here, put that on top, stir it, and we're going to serve it, all right? 3 minutes and 23 seconds of fame. Here we go. So I fully expect that we have this email chain later on today that I see that everyone has a chef's knife that they really like working with, okay?
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
So, determining the sharpness of the knife and what you should actually aspire to be sharp.
Yes.
So how do you do it? What are some techniques?
So the question is, how do you determine the appropriate sharpness for your knife? How do you keep it at that sharpness? I wonder about that myself.
You know, when I went to culinary school, I got really nerdville on knives. Like just getting them so sharp that if I look at them, I get cut, like really sharp. Now, quite honestly, you have these sharpeners that you can get over the counter at Bed Bath & Beyond or whatever. It's called chef's, what is it? Sarah, what is that? The sharpener we have, babe? Chef's, oh man. What is it? It's like a little sharpener that, pull off to the side. It's like a little sharpener that you can push and pull through. Those things, quite honestly, are totally fine. If you want to geek over it, like farmers markets will have people that sharpen it, or your local butcher will have a sharpener that you can sharpen your knives. The only thing that you really need, quite honestly, is a honing steel. What you don't need is you don't need the 21 block knife set, okay? I have so many knives. I use this knife 95% of the time. So I really only need a sharp knife. So if I said, what's your favorite knife? You're like, oh, the one that's sharp, the one that actually cuts. That's my favorite one, okay? So a honing steel will take a sharp knife and keep it sharp. If you have a dull knife, it needs to be sharpened, okay? A honing steel will do nothing for a dull knife. So every once in a while, after I'm done cooking for like 15 minutes, and I'll just hone it, which straightens the blade a little bit, it aligns the blade, and then I just keep going, okay? So, and to answer your question, I want them as sharp as possible. I want them crazy sharp because that makes my job as a chef easier. I don't want to have to work through the product. I want to make friends with the product, okay? So what I'm adding here is a lot of cilantro, sorry Victoria, a lot of cilantro and also a lot of parsley, flat leaf Italian parsley.
One more question over there.
Yes. Yes.
So another to the question about the knife, can you talk to us about your favorite pan?
My favorite pan? Oh, yeah, sure. My favorite pan, another great question. Pots and pans are one of those things that, that are also very personal. I find that if the pot or pan is too heavy, like all-clad, is one of those, it's sort of an industry standard, but it has a straight handle. So it puts a lot of stress on your styloid process. So it's actually a little bit uncomfortable for me. Let's see. What are the ones we have a lot? What are the ones we use? Yeah, Cauliflower. Cauliflower Contemporary Series, stainless steel, is great. It's just inexpensive, and it works really well. It has a handle, it's curved, which I like, and it's stainless steel, which means it's gonna like get a good sear on the fish or the steak, and you can make fondue out of it rather than nonstick. That's a great question, though. I mean, that's one of those like an 8-set piece. I have 4 burners. Why do I need a 12 or 15 piece set? Like I can only literally cook 4 at a time. Okay. Parmesan Reggiano, which we talked about before. When you get a block of Parmesan, that's better, and then rewrap it really well. It'll live indefinitely in your fridge. Okay. So this is already caramelized. It's a little bit brown, which is nice. A lot of water vapor has gone away from it. get a little bit of flavor in there. Kosher salt, seasoning from up high, as we talked about earlier. A little bit in my pocket. There we go. That's good. Freshly ground black pepper. Lemon juice and olive oil. Okay. I already did, I think, a half a lemon juice. Let's get it going in here. Catch the seeds. They go here, and then olive oil. And I'm doing it around the sides so it doesn't soak up directly into it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it. Just fold it together. And then up here on my left-hand side, I do have the pine nuts that we had toasted earlier. And then how I toast my pine nuts, and all nuts, in fact, is in your cookbook that you have in front of you right now. All right? Pine nuts, they come from pine trees, from frigging pine cones. They're expensive. That's why they're expensive. So let's not burn them. And when they're good, they're just like so good. So I'm going to get some of these and pop those on top. Other than one allergy to pine nuts, does anyone not like pine nuts? Great. They're all going in there. That's fantastic. And then what we'll do is we'll taste it. So we have an acid, which is the lemon juice. We also have salt, which is in the form of salt. And then we also have the cheese, which has salt in it also. But it's a little bit different because it's buttery. So we'll give it a little flavor test here. And then we'll see what happens. It's like I made it before. This is really, it's great because it has a lot of fresh herbs in it. Never be afraid of herbs. People are like, what do you do with all those herbs? You use them. I mean, you just use them. And the more herbs, the better. It's like when you have Thai food, and they just throw so many herbs on there. It's never been a moment I was like, that's a lot of herbs. Can you just cut back on the herbs? I've always been very happy with the volume of herbs in my food. And again, you eat with your eyes. Make it really pretty. I'm not one of those dudes that has like the tweezer things. There's nowhere in my cookbook that says go out and get a thing of surgical tweezers to compose your food. I'm not saying you can't, because I've seen some beautifully composed dishes. But because I feel that we're all family now, this is all family style, right? And we can all pass this around here at Team Google. I'm just coming up with these things left and right, aren't I? Right? And because, I use all the cheese, but if you had a little fresh cheese, the block, you would just shave some over the top because that's really sexy, and these just beautiful big pieces of Parmesan, okay? And that's the second dish. Super fast, all within 0 seconds, which I'm sure has been there for at least a little while. Could be. That's it, guys. I'm sure you would tell me if I had stuff on my teeth, which I'm sure I do. But thanks for your time. Any questions? I'm ready to take them. You guys.
I have a question about
Yes.
cauliflower.
Question.
It's one of my favorite vegetables. I love it. But I noticed that sometimes I buy a head and it sits in my fridge and it has like a terrible, strong smell. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's completely neutral, doesn't smell like anything, completely unoffensive. What causes that? How do I differentiate? Does it matter?
It's breaking down, for one. It's the same, I believe it's the same family as kale. Like kale will give you that same smell. If it's constricted at all, you want to make sure the airflow happens around it. The same, I'm using the analogy of the kale. When you get kale home and it has that little twisty tie and or fresh herbs, you need to get it out of that twisty tie. It doesn't like to be constrained because when they're smushed together like that, the leaves or the herbs, what happens is any of that moisture will actually begin to rot. And that's when it breaks down. Think of spinach. When you get a bag of spinach and it's been sitting in your fridge or in your crisper drawer that you call like the death drawer or whatever you call, because right now there's a bunch of flaccid vegetables in your death drawer. I know it for a fact. If you go take a Google van, I know it. It's just because when you look at the bottom of the bag, you're like, ooh, like that's weird dark spinach juice. That's disgusting. It's because it can't breathe. So if I ever get fresh, if I'm traveling, doing something and I want a salad, I'll get the package of salad and I'll poke a bunch of holes in it and put it in the fridge. The holes will allow it to exhale, but it won't dehydrate because it's not completely exposed. So that's why the crisper drawer is there, so it won't dehydrate it like it would as if it's on top of just a drawer. So it stays cool enough, but you need to let it breathe also. But that's a great question. Great question. Okay, the question is, what are my favorite spices to cook with? I think that sort of depends upon the cuisine. It's interesting. So when you look at spices and you're thinking, all right, well, here's like a chili and cumin and fennel, or definitely cumin. You're like, one of our friends who was on Food Network, Arti Sequeira, she's like, oh, that's my people's food. Like, that's Indian food. And I mean, like, actually, the dude from El Salvador is like, actually, that's our people's food. So depending upon what date your spice trades came through your country, I guess that depends. I really love cumin. I just love cumin. I love fresh fennel. But I also like growing things at home. So we have a curry tree at home. It's like 4 years old, but it's only this tall. It's an unbelievably slow grower. But with those three things, you can just make so much food. But black pepper is one of those things that I have to have. I mean, we bang through. Our black pepper grinder is about this big, and we rip through this olive oil and one this big every month. Like, we just kill it. We just rip through it. If you're not just destroying your olive oil, put it on your cereal. I don't care what you do, but like, it's just so good for you, and it tastes so good. Great question, though. Thank you. Any more questions, guys? Yes, sir.
Besides olive oil, other cooking oils, and choosing one versus another?
So the question is, other than olive oil, what are other oils that I would use? So I mainly use olive oil, and I use grapeseed oil. So one is for most utilitarian things like the olive oil, but higher temperatures, I would use grapeseed oil. Also, keeping in mind that Sarah, my girlfriend and executive sous chef, we do a lot of drought-friendly recipes. And wine grapes don't take a lot of water to grow, and the seeds are already there, so you just press them. So you have this double whammy. It's a neutral oil, and it has a very high smoke point, and it's heart healthy. So those two. So if I'm making a vinaigrette or a mayonnaise that I want to flavor and I don't want it to taste like olive oil, I will definitely use grapeseed oil. And it's a lovely oil to work with. Great question. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any like common go-to recipes when you're at home and just want to make something quick?
Because I worked at farmers markets for 10 years, it depends what we brought back in the trunk. We always have lemons. Like right now, we have a lot of stone fruit. The thing is, I've gotten to the point where I love fresh produce so much. I just love it so much that I let it sort of guide me. So the other day we had so many peaches, these lovely yellow peaches, O. Henry peaches. But we had lemons too, and I was like, oh, well, let's just take those O. Henry peaches, we'll peel them, we'll throw in a little bit of diced fresh mint, and I'll make a simple syrup with organic sugar, and then I'll have lemon zest with the lemon juice, and that right there, that's peach sorbet. Like and all I had to do was put it in a blender and throw it in the processor or in your freezer and just put it in the processor after it's already frozen. The rest of the peaches we'll make into a chutney, like a peach, spicy, fresh ginger peach chutney. So, and I learned a lot about these things from chefs that I've worked under, but I've also learned a lot just from being at farmers markets, because chances are your local chefs are standing right next to you, getting stuff from them, and just listening what people do with that. Because I'll do that all the time, and I sell this stuff. I'll be like, oh, what would you do? Like, how do you pick that out? And they'll be like, oh, I do this, and this is what I do with that, and then I step on it and run it over the car, whatever they do, which is very interesting. And you learn a lot from that. But right now, because it's summertime, and it is hot in our house, so we don't really want to turn on the oven. So heirloom tomatoes, burrata cheese, lots of fresh herbs. I'll turn on the grill outside and grill up crostini with olive oil and salt and pepper, and we'll just munch it. Just go crazy. Yeah. But whatever we do, there's just the two of us, and we eat. We eat. Capital E. We just Google it down. We kill it. Great question. But thank you. I mean, whatever's in the season of summer, really, we'll just destroy it. Any more questions? You have another question?
Yeah. Why is it like, well, how does that go?
So what's your process for creating recipes? Do you eat your mistakes? How do you filter them out?
Everyone eats the mistakes. Nathan, you never make this mistake again.
Those tears, one at a time.
My girlfriend's very strong. Eat that mistake. It's not quite that bad. But the process is, because I teach on TV, it has to be accessible to the home cook, regardless where you get your food, be it in the farmer's market in Palo Alto or at the majority of Americans get their stuff from Walmart. And then we'll sometimes also go to different grocery stores to get a particular product and then design the recipe, making sure that it works with all of those different products from all those different sources. Because it's just simply not fair being in California, being like, you know, in December when we eat Driscoll strawberries from the organic garden and the virgin cherubs come and they pick them for us. Like, that's just not fair when you're freezing your changs off in Maine, right? So, what's the question? I just got a little bit
How do you
distracted.
create recipes?
So thank you so much. Glad people are paying attention. Creating recipes is sort of like, what do we have a lot of in the kitchen? What have we not necessarily, what direction have we not gone into? That's why when we eat out, we'll eat out food that we're not necessarily familiar with, but you want to educate America and make it accessible for them. So my dad hated eggplant. He hated eggplant. Or Brussels sprouts. My mom would just cook it until it was like mushy Brussels sprout ass. It was horrible. And your kitchen smelled horrible. But then I came to California and I was like, oh, roasted Brussels sprouts with balsamic and shallots, so delicious. It's crispy, it's sweet. It is a vastly different animal. So we also try to think out of the box and say, most people eat it this way. How do we prepare it a different way so that you're not just bored with the same old routine of, these are my 5 dishes I always turn to. My family likes 2 of them, but I'm going to make them because I'm tired. You know, so how can we reinvent the cauliflower to where you don't just have to either make a puree out of it, which is delicious, throw it in a food processor, steam it with butter, salt, and pepper, done, right? Or you can cut it into slabs and throw it in your broiler at 450 with a lot of spices and make these big slabs or steaks, done, right? So we're trying to say, how do you utilize the same ingredient in a new and exciting way that perhaps hasn't been done before, or sort of splinter off in a way that all Americans will be like, I can totally do that. I have, except for the young lady on my left, I totally have this. So that's why I designed the gazpacho, instead of making people being like, oh, you're going to do this brunoisette of this, and people aren't going to do that. But they can go, dinner's ready, right? So I hope that answers your question. It's sort of like, what do we cook for ourselves? What do we cook for drought-friendly recipes for this demographic? The show that I got the Emmy nomination for is a slightly different demographic than Food Network or PBS. So we have to kind of figure out what goes in what slot. But that's a fantastic question. Any more
Sounds like
questions?
just playing in your kitchen with whatever's current,
It
fresh,
is.
vibrant produce.
With the rest of that, the rest of the watermelon, we would just go hog wild on that bad boy.
Google it right down.
I'm going to Google it down. I'm going to put it up on my Google wall of whatever I don't know what you guys do.
Googly. Googly is the word. You can start a plan.
Googly?
Googly. It's a thing.
I feel like
Google
being
it.
tickled because it's so googly.
Well,
Any more
thank you
questions,
so much.
guys?
Anything else?
I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.